Hey dudes, Silvite Soltis here again, and today I'm happy to finally be doing another top 5 list. It's been a while since I played around with this concept, mostly due to lots of real-life commitments and the like, but since I'd really like to do at least one every month or so, now seems as good a time as ever to jump back into it. So far, we've already covered my top 5 dungeons, zones, music tracks, and classes of WoW Classic. And because of that, and the fact that my Memories of Vanilla series keeps reminding me of these, I've decided to head back out into the world and start telling about my favorite quest chains in classic World of Warcraft. Keep in mind that my vanilla experience has been basically entirely Alliance up until now. So for this list, I'm only going to focus on the Alliance quests. I'm planning on doing another top 5 for Horde quest chains when I eventually complete many of them on WoW Classic later this year. And someday I'll also make a neutral top 5 quest chains video. But for now, let's just get right into it. Here are my top 5 classic WoW Alliance quest chains. Number 5. Saving Sharpbeak. Actually, probably one of the more surprising entries on this list, especially for people like me that entirely forgot that the hinterlands existed for a while. Saving Sharpbeak tells the heartwarming story of a dwarf and his griffin, or rather his search for the baby griffin. You see, some evil troll dudes had apparently kidnapped Sharpbeak and were planning to sacrifice him or something like that. Of course, in the beginning, we had no idea about any of that though. As the standard adventurer, it was the player's job to run around the zone of the hinterlands, searching for clues as to where Sharpbeak might have been taken. What follows is an adventure of epic proportions in which you travel the world, down to the Blasted Lands, across the ocean into Zul'Farrak, and eventually back to the hinterlands in search of the answer. What has happened to Swiftwing's heir? What has happened to Sharpbeak? Eventually, we find out that the griffin was atop the massive troll stronghold of Jintha Alor, and our objective is clear. We fight our way through the droves of elite forest troll enemies, kill one of the leaders there, steal the key, and then find and free Sharpbeak. Honestly, I still get chills when I think of this quest. Even though it's only one of the many amazing quest chains in classic WoW, and may honestly be forgotten by many, it's got a special place in my heart. Thus, I believe it is a solid quest chain to start off this list. Number 4. Theembalmer. Okay, so there's this creepy old dude hanging out in a shack by a graveyard. Next to him is a giant crate with chains holding it shut. What do you do? Well, literally everything he asks you to, apparently. All kidding aside though, this quest chain is absolutely amazing. You start out believing that you're just performing some simple errands for this poor old man who has made himself a hermit out by the Ravenhill Cemetery. As you follow his instructions, however, things begin taking a darker and darker turn. Eventually, after many adventures throughout the Duskwood Zone, you're tasked with delivering a letter to the Town Hall of Darkshire. Soon after, a roar is heard in the woods. Stitches has been unleashed. The Embalmer questline, also known as Stitches, is this amazing story that really emphasizes the role that we, the player, find ourselves in as we traverse the world of Azeroth. We are merely random dudes or dudettes looking for some loot, coin, and sweet EXP from any quest giver that we can find. And though this quest chain is littered with red flags in the dialogue, we didn't care as long as we got ours. But for those of us with a soul, and the patience to actually read what we were doing instead of tabbing to Thoughtbot for every quest. The guilt felt at the end of this chain about what we'd unleashed upon our fellow leveling players in Duskwood was real. Number 3. The Missing Diplomat. Holy massively long quest chain, Batman. One of the only quest chains in this list that actually kept the same name throughout its entire duration. The Missing Diplomat begins by tasking the player with speaking with a bishop in Stormwind to discuss a highly confidential issue of great importance to the Alliance. As lowly level 28 to 30s, we had no idea what we were in for as we began this quest. But eventually we'd unravel the mystery as the quest givers sent us from zone to zone, speaking with all sorts of undercover individuals, scouring a marsh, and just generally being badass detectives. Eventually, we learned that the diplomat that went missing was the freaking king of Stormwind, and that the Defias Brotherhood, you know, those guys that we kicked out of Westfall back at level 20, were behind his disappearance. Honestly, I don't remember every single step of this chain, mostly because it's close to 20 quests in total. But when I hear the name of this chain mentioned in videos like Tips Outs, I always get this tingle of nostalgia. The Missing Diplomat is, quite frankly, the first quest where we as a player begin to feel less like this nameless adventurer and more like a genuine hero of the Alliance. It's an absolute must to complete while leveling in Classic WoW, and I really look forward to doing it again someday on my Alliance alts. Number 2. The Defias Brotherhood. No matter what race or class you rolled, everyone that has played an Alliance character past level 20 has done this quest. It is possibly the most defining quest of Lobby Alliance questing, and it's the first time that we see ourselves really unraveling a serious mystery out in the world. Until this chain, our leveling experience mostly focused on, hey, run over there and kill those guys, followed up by, okay, great job, now go kill some of those slightly stronger guys over there. Or go pick up 10 of those and 3 of these quests. The Defias Brotherhood, however, had us travel back and forth between zones to investigate this mysterious organization that has been causing all sorts of problems around the Kingdom of Stormwind. Eventually, we uncovered the true nature of this shady organization and dived into the dead mines to take out the head, both figuratively and literally. And upon completing this task, we were rewarded with an object of great power, a blue quality item, the first for many of us back in the day. Honestly, choosing between the Missing Diplomat and the Defias Brotherhood was a really hard decision to make, as both are extremely iconic Alliance quest chains that really showed our growth as characters in the story of Azeroth at that time. The only real reason I placed the Defias Brotherhood over the Missing Diplomat in the end is that it is just a bit more straightforward and widely known. Like I said, everyone has done this quest, whereas my number 3 choice was a bit more exclusive due to its higher level requirement. The Defias Brotherhood also culminates in a dungeon, which is always a fun way to end a quest chain in my opinion. So, all in all, I think it's a solid number 2. But there's just one more quest that I think is a little bit better than this one. Before we get to that last quest though, here are just a few honorable mentions.
And number 1.
The Onyxia Attunement. If you manage to make it this far in this list, I really doubt that you are surprised by this choice of number 1. Everyone that talks about WoW Classic, and everyone I've ever spoken to about the quests, raves about this quest chain and how amazing it is. From start to finish, it is a roller coaster of adventure. You start off with a simple, unsuspecting quest in the Burning Steppes. Kill some dragons. Easy enough. But before you know it, you're diving into Blackrock Depths, running to Stormwind, searching for notes, and breaking some random dude in his boxers out of prison. All for what? Well, to go and slay a big freaking dragon that's manipulating your kingdom from the inside, that's what. Seriously, the Onyxia Attunement quest chain has got some of the most gripping and engaging storytelling in all of Classic WoW. Telling the amazing story of Reginald Windsor, a character who is both badass and tragic, this questline really pulls in the player and makes you feel like a champion of the Alliance. Sure, some of the individual quests can be frustrating at times, and it's definitely not the most intuitive of quest chains, especially finding that crumpled up note to continue in the middle. But honestly, these aspects are what made it so intriguing. An unwary player could finish all of the prerequisites, not knowing what it was leading to, and then randomly find the note in a Blackrock Depths run, and be sucked right back into it. Plus, after breaking Windsor out of prison, you get the single greatest solo event in Classic, the Great Masquerade, in which you slowly walk through the city streets with the Alliance hero to confront the Broodmother in the Keep. Okay, yeah, the quest is labeled as a level 60 plus raid quest, but come on, who actually did this in a raid group? But it didn't end there, of course. Once you finally got that far, you had this super vague task of finding some random dude who can help you figure out what to do from there. And of course, that person ends up being on the opposite side of the world, in the middle of nowhere in Winterspring. Do a dungeon, UBRS this time, get some blood of a dragon, empower a necklace, and go fight a big-ass dragon to get your tier 2 helm. 10 out of 10 would do it again. So there you have it, my top 5 Alliance quest chains in World of Warcraft Classic. Honestly, there are tons of amazing quests and quest chains that all have a place in my heart, but these are the first and most powerful ones I could think of. It's also worth noting that I didn't really focus much on the early Kalimdor zones back in the day, so I may have missed a few gems in places like Teldrassil, Darkshore, and Ashenvale. So leave a comment down below if there were any particularly notable chains that I missed, and I'll definitely check them out later on. Initially, I was thinking that maybe I should make a top 5 classic quest list, but seeing as I had never really played Horde back in the day, I decided to really focus on one side here. But as I've said before, I'm planning on maining Horde when WoW Classic launches this summer, and so I think when that time comes, I'll actually get a good list for Horde side to go along with this one. And of course, I'll make a list for neutral quests as well for good measure, as there are an absolute crap ton of amazing chains that both sides can do. But anyway, that's it for now. If you enjoyed this video, why not subscribe and hit that bell for notifications when new content is released. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter, and check out my blog over on Blogspot for more content. There's a lot more coming later on, but for now, thanks for watching, and take it easy.